Welcome to Koco's Corner. I am the huge one, Dave Koco from Kocosports.com or Kocosports.net, KOCOsports.net. It takes you to the same place. It's where the world comes to kick ass, your home for combat sports, and above all, where it's okay to be a passionate fan. This is our WWE Main Event Weekly Review. As always, we ask you in the comments below if you watched it, what did you think of it? Win, loss, or tie? What did you think of this week's WWE main event? Me personally, I don't know. This might be unfair, but the C and B shows, I grade on a curb. I grade for how good of a main event it was, not how good of a television show it was. And to me, I thought it was better than Raw. I really did, and this happens often. I do not enjoy Raw. I thought it had some bad things. It had a lot of good things, but as always, it's a main event, so there was a lot of quick matches. It's like bam, 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 bam. 76 matches in 26 minutes. It's a wrap. But considering the short matches and everything, I give it a win. I give it a win. And all the time when we review these B or C shows, what people always ask me is it worth watching? And usually it's a tough call. I'm usually like, oh, if you have an hour. I think this one's really worth watching. I do. It moves along a storyline that I was the only storyline I was interested in on Raw. And it had a couple of good athletes put on really good, short, quick matches. Like I said, you're probably not going to get any 5 stars. You're not going to get any long matches. But for what it is, I give it a win. And if you're on the fence of watching main event, I think this is one that you should watch. All right, let's break it down, shall we? Bam, 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 bam. I don't know why I sing my own songs. I'm fucking retarded. Anyway, focusing on the main event review. You got Jack Swagger defeats Titus O'Neil. I really enjoyed this match. I enjoyed this match a lot. It was really short, but the two athletes who, I think Jack Swagger is really underrated. I think he's one of the best technical wrestlers on the roster, but technical wrestling really isn't that popular, so a lot of people shit on Jack Swagger. But I actually think for his style of wrestling, he's one of the best at. And then you had Titus O'Neil, who I'm a huge Florida Gator. Damn you, FSU! Well, if I damned every team that beat the Gators the last 2 seasons, I'd be here all day. But, former Florida Gator, Titus O'Neil, and they busted their ass. I thought it was a really good physical short match, and they both showed that they had some hustle. I really enjoyed this match. Maybe it's just me, and this is just me purely guessing. I honestly think both men had something to prove. They didn't have that much time, and Titus O'Neil isn't the best in-ring performer. Jack Swagger is a great technical wrestler, but gets a lot of shit on him. I think they had something to prove, and they went out there and just had a short, stiff match. I really enjoyed it. And then afterwards, Jack Swagger, because he gets the victory, afterwards, he cuts a promo on Usos, and I thought it was a pretty decent promo. He talked about how Zeb Coulter was father-like to him, a great man, stood up for stuff, and how he shouldn't have the U.S. title. And it's one of those promos, it's not going to make a Fave 5 list. You're not going to remember it 2 weeks from now. But it's one of those, I didn't give a fuck about Swagger and Rusev anymore. Oh, he talked me into the building. He talked me into this feud. And now I want to see it. So it's a little bit old school as far as, it's not going to make any highlight clips. But it's one of those, prior to this match, prior to this interview, I had no desire to see Swagger versus Rusev again. But then, after the attack of Zeb Coulter, a really short but physical match, and then he has a decent promo, and it's, like I said, it talked me into the feud. It talked me into the building. And there isn't enough promos like that anymore. Usually the promos are like, ha ha ha, bad joke, ha ha ha, bad joke. It's funny because it seems like all the pressure is on the announce team to talk, the announce team and the marketing team to talk people into the building. It doesn't seem wrestlers talk into the building anymore. It doesn't seem like, usually when you're like, oh my goodness, I can't wait to see this feud, it's usually not the wrestlers that get you interested in that. It's the announce team who haven't been doing a great job of that, but still, it's their responsibility, and marketing team. Very few wrestlers actually like, let me tell you why this is a good match. Come on a journey with me. And Jack Swagger did that. It felt very old schoolish. It felt very NWA-ish. I enjoyed it. And if people, especially newer, younger fans, want to know what talking someone into the building is, or like what old school promos were, because back in the day, the old school promos, you had to get people to the event. You had to get people interested. They didn't have the special effects. They didn't have the marketing teams. They didn't have the know-how that they do now as far as marketing goes and announcing. So it was good to see an old school promo. Really enjoyed the opening match. It is short though. I put it over like $1 million. Don't expect a 15-minute fucking, don't expect a long match. Next was the most pathetic match of the night, I guess, but I guess it has to happen. You had Goldust and Stardust defeat Adam Rose and the Bunny. It happened. You just went from Jack Swagger doing something amazing to Goldust and Stardust and the Bunny, and I don't know. And it's so funny too, because like it's just not working. I mean, Jakar has messed around with animals and some like costume characters, and sometimes it gets over. It just does not seem to be working. And I'm not one of those guys that hates Adam Rose. There are plenty of members in the internet infantry that hate Adam Rose. I really don't hate Adam Rose. I'm indifferent, which I think might be worse for Adam Rose. But the Bunny thing is just ridiculous. I don't know. It seems like it's a lost cause. Anyway, it happened. That match happened. That was definitely, if there was the good, the bad, and the ugly, the Gold and Stardust defeating Adam Rose and the Bunny was definitely the ugly. Let's go move on. Then you had Fandango defeat R-Truth, I guess, which was the bad. R-Truth is now an enhancement talent. And one thing he did put over, who did he put over? Bray Wyatt on Monday Night Raw. Now he's putting over Fandango. I guess R-Truth is now enhancement talent. But the match happened. It was bad. It just happened, dude. It's our Fandango defeat R-Truth. So there you go. Fandango finished him off with a big leg drop from the top rope for the win. And next, I don't really want to talk about it. Now, this one I want to talk about. It's just funny because, like, you had a good short match to open it. You had a very old school talk him into the building promo. You had that disaster of the Bunny. You had an enhancement match where R-Truth just put over someone again. And you know what? I love R-Truth, and I'm glad he was former NWA World Heavyweight Champ. A lot of NWA references for a WWE main event. But I don't know. I'm glad that they're bringing back what some people call jobbers. I try not to use that word just because, I don't know. I just don't like using words that, I don't know. I just don't like. I met a lot of people that made a living being jobbers, and it's just like, man, they're doing it. They're busting their ass. They have a point. But from there, it leads to another great storyline, and the only storyline I gave a shit about, and that was Jimmy Uso and The Miz. And The Miz came out and cut a great Miz promo. It was sneaky, fishy, squirmy. It was just so scummy. And I just absolutely loved it. He came out first. He's doing the coward thing. They're like, hey, listen, I'm just trying to help. I really thought all these companies called her. They're interested in her. And then he went from there to the Jerry Maguire. Let me help you. Let me help you. And whatever the hell Jerry Maguire says. And then from there, you're like, all right. You're like, you're going on a ride. Like, Miz is a coward. Miz is trying to be a good person. And this all happened within a couple seconds. And then he's like, well, I could do more for your wife than you could. And I was just like, man, this is the storyline. It's so simple. It's so simple. It just works. It works on so many levels. And I always wonder why WWE and TNA just don't stick to such such simple storylines. But no, I really enjoyed the promo. I enjoyed the storyline, and it's funny because it's supposed to be for the tag team titles, and yeah, it's just like, man, more people care about Jimmy Uso and The Miz than that. I don't know. I just like everything about this feud, and I'm interested to see where it goes. But in the match, Jimmy Uso defeats WWE Tag Team Champion The Miz, and The Miz is in trouble. And sometimes Sandow, I thought was hilarious at first. Like, this is my view on Sandow. It goes up and down. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was getting old. Then I thought, why does everyone still like this? And now it is so over the top ridiculous that I'm like, oh my goodness. Um, Jimmy Uso is going for a splash on The Miz, and Mizdow runs into the ring, and you're like, oh shit, he's going to interfere, and just does a bump by himself, and then the Usos do a double splash and get the victory. And it was just so ridiculous that even me, the grumpiest of the grumps, we are the Wrestle Grumps. The grumpiest of the grumps even had a little bit of a smile. My heart grew 10 times that bigger. But I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoy the storyline, and I love where it's going. So overall, I give it a win. But if you want your best viewing experience, I would say watch the first match in promo and the last match in promo. The stuff in the middle was embarrassing to average on my scale. All right, let's see if there's any live comments. Usually not, but let's embarrass ourselves anyway. Boom, boom, boom. Thank you for the retweets on Twitter. Thank you for the likes on Facebook. And no comments. I'm all alone. All right, well, main event isn't exactly the most popular of shows, but hey, it happens. All right. So please, down in the comments, put win, loss, or tie what you thought of WWE main event. I was super sick. I had plans to do a lot more podcasts. I apologize to the Net Infantry. Hopefully I'll get a lot more podcasts done. In my head, I want to do like 4 or 5 podcasts a day and become like this huge Sports Center thing. And then I wake up in the morning like, oh, can't breathe. If you can't breathe, you can't podcast. Stupid dying body. Anyway, we'll hopefully have more podcasts. We'll also be doing fantasy wrestling. It is Hall of Fame month on Kocosports. So please like, comment, subscribe, become part of our internet infantry, our community, and also check out the blog. It's kocosports.net, KOCOsports.net. Please check it out. Jerry, David Cooey, Scott Adams, David T should be returning soon, the legendary David T's, and we're always looking to expand the staff, and we're hoping one day. We're not there yet. We're realistic. We're not there yet, but we hope one day we'll be your #1 stop for combat sports news, and this channel will be your #1 stop for reviews, and we plan on having a lot more content. If just this stupid body won't die. I'm like, come on. Dear Terry Funk, can we not kill me and have it? I have important shit to do, like YouTube podcasting. All right? Thanks, Terry Funk. Oh, man. Like, comments, take 17. Let's be smooth about this. Like, comment, subscribe on our YouTube. Go to our blog at kocosports.net, KOCOsports.net. And with that, I am over. Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, 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 boom, boom, boom.